спустилась, а тут... О, так, все запустилось. Так, это у нас симулятор аутопсии. По-русски говоря, вскрываем трупы. И получаем за это какую-то денежку, да? Ну, давай посмотрим. Как я почитал, многие говорят, что страшно. Ну, посмотрим, насколько страшно. А, ну, стандартно. Ну, давай, грузись. Памела Андерсон цифровая, блин. Угу. Какой-то пролог.
Office of the Medical Examiner, Pete'sville. Dr. Jack Hadman is speaking. How can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate Brooks. I'm not sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I will leave us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious. For the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife. Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God damn it. I'm not in the best frame of mind to record a lecture for my students now. I'm feeling completely broken. Where did I leave my meds this time? Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine. Stephen didn't clean up after himself again.
Ага. Какой-то Стивен еще есть, да? Что? О. Угу. Ладно. Ты у нас что?
They definitely pay me too little for this.
Даже в ящиках можно покопаться. Неплохо. Но это уже стандартно. А нижний ящик открыть не могу. Темнота. Друг молодежи.
I guess it was in another life. Wednesday. It's not my favorite day, although it's certainly better than Monday.
Что у нас тут есть еще?
Another kidnapping this month.
Похищение. Ага. Ну, пойдем на толчка. А где уборная? Точно не она. Но мы
This
зайдем.
place is starting to look like a hoarder's dream, rather than a storage room.
Камера.
Pills first, Jack. Pills. Let's hope I'm not caught short this evening.
Социальная комната. То бишь комната поорать или прием гостей. Оу. Нихера у вас уборная. У нас самый хреновый туалет на вокзале выглядит лучше. Мать вашу. Фонарик есть? Ладно.
Okay, time to pull myself together.
Ну, зеркало, естественно,
And
нет?
get back to work. I need to set up the camera first.
Ну да, камера. Не экономят на электричестве и на тепле.
Now remember, Jack, don't forget, hit the record button this time. Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up.
О, здорово. Кто-то уже лежит. Ставим камеру.
Now,
Так.
I just have to get everything in frame.
О,
This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy, step by step. For those of you who have already performed your first autopsy, this will refresh your basic knowledge. In turn, for those whose knowledge is only theoretical, I advise not to watch this after a meal.
здорово. Так. Посмотреть доску. Ну, давай посмотрим доску. Смотрю на доску дальше. А, на эту доску.
Let's start.
Так.
Always wear an apron, mask, and gloves. Goggles are a must when the job is splashy. And in case of sharp accidents, it's worth having disinfectants at hand. It's true that you won't get ptomaine poisoning straight away, but if your liver or kidney aren't doing well, you may end up with diarrhea.
Ага.
The cadaver is placed on its back on the autopsy table. The pathologist stands on the right of the deceased. Make sure that all the necessary tools are always at hand so that you don't have to run around looking for something, like I do all the time.
Как это обычно бывает у меня. Самокритичненько.
In the process of revealing and securing forensic evidence, it is difficult not to interfere with the original condition of the deceased. Written and photographic documentation plays a vital role throughout the entire examination process.
Ага.
During your research, be patient, inquisitive, but above all, attentive to detail. Many injuries are visible at first glance, but sometimes they can be cover for more interesting stories. And lastly, remember that nothing teaches you self-narration like working with the dead. So get used to that fact soon. Everyone will think you're talking to yourself.
Ага.
Now, onto the police folder. That will contain all sorts of pertinent information as to who the deceased might be and what potentially happened to them. So, let's take a closer look, shall we?
Ну давай посмотрим. Так.
The deceased's name is Tobias Chambers, locally known as Old Toby. Homeless and unemployed for at least a couple of years.
Так.
The deceased was found on the outskirts of a parking lot at a gas station, where he often begged and persistently offered drivers to wash their car windows. The body was noticed by a station employee during the morning shift. Initially, he thought that someone had thrown some boots and a coat in a nearby ditch. It took him a moment to recognize the pile of clothes as the body of a man.
Ага. Ясно.
He worked most of his life at the local port dealing with unloaded cargo. He was fired for being drunk and starting fights. His son runs a hardware store on his own. His wife left him years ago. They both had no contact with the deceased. Signs of libation were found around the body. Empty bottles, traces of an inept attempt to start a fire, and a scattered makeshift blanket.
Ага.
That's it. It's worth remembering the context around the scene of a death. This allows you to better interpret any traces found on the body. I shouldn't start the procedure without gloves.
Так, где перчатки? Вот перчатки.
Now it's our turn to take some pictures for our files. If I can just remember where I left the camera. It's in here somewhere. Aha! There you are. I knew it was here somewhere.
Берем камеру.
As
Пойдем
I mentioned
фоткать.
at the beginning, before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver and the condition it arrived in. We begin with a full body photo. Try and stick to the top-down rule, but this is not always possible. Let's keep in mind it's all about the legibility, not the perfect frame.
Так, не фоткает, да?
Voila! Now we move on to the next step, looking for traces. Take your time. Look at the corpse from different sides, from different angles, up close, and from a distance. You're looking for anything out of the ordinary.
Ноги вот у него пиздец, конечно. Он что, запнулся, что ли?
Some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite, probably because the subject's shoes were too small.
Ага.
Hardened hands, worn out by physical work, and frostbite?
Так, что на голове? Ух ты. Нифига себе вмятина.
Нехило его приложили.
Что-то не фоткается.
Это судебный?
Ага. Ага.
That's something interesting. It will be necessary to check whether this injury was severe enough to cause damage to the brain.
Так, и еще что-то есть. Это как удар ножом, что ли? Причем старый.
A poorly healed wound. Looks old. I'll take a closer look later.
Ага.
In a moment, we will check which of our initial observations will be worthy of further consideration. But before we get to that, I need to write down some basic data.
Давай вписываем. Голова. Нога. Рана на торсе. Цельный кусок мяса. Так будем называть. И рука. Ну, теперь вскрытие.
Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife.
Твой
I guess I
обратный
forgot to
владелец.
clean the knife.
Ты забыл помыть нож? Вот ты даешь.
Personal information. The deceased was unclothed. Date.
Составляем отчет.
Okay. As you can see, I note everything down on previously prepared forms. Every pathologist must keep a detailed record of every step of the autopsy. This not only allows you to track the procedure, but also collates the results together, upon which you may back up your conclusions. So, enough of the boring prep. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the spots I photographed earlier. For this, you're going to need a magnifying glass.
Каждый думает в меру своей испорченности, знаешь? Ты не стесняйся, ты говори. А то подумал, что я сам с собой ржу. Нам нужна лупа. Лупа, без приставок.
Which spot first?
Ты хоть что-то пропустил?
Нет, изучаем более конкретно.
А, по кругу?
It looks like a burn mark. No doubt painful, but it's not pertinent for this case.
Ага. Это дело не... Так, руки.
Here we can see frostbite on the fingertips. We can tell by the characteristic skin color.
Обморожение. На ногах, скорее всего, то же самое. Так что давай сначала ногу посмотрим.
Definitely a painful mix of frostbite, abrasions, and
А
blisters.
лучше ли будет?
Old Toby
Ну
had
да.
been wearing shoes too small for him for a very long time. That's if he wore any at all.
Так, и осталась голова.
I can confirm the presence of ecchymosis on the deceased man's head. The appearance indicates the intravital nature of the wound. Add alcohol, which I can clearly smell, and this was an accident just waiting to happen. So far,
Ладно.
there are a lot of superficial wounds, but only one serious injury to the head. Let's go back to our notes.
Так, планшет.
First, I mark the location of the injuries and make notes for each one. So,
Ага.
if
Okay.
Toby's body was cold for a prolonged period, the frostbite could have resulted from the body's defense reaction. The safety of the internal organs is more important than fingers, nose, or ears. We're not in frost season yet, but high humidity, wind, and the inability to warm up can also be causes of frostbite.
Так, тут еще
Even though this type
кусок.
of wound didn't contribute to the deceased's death, we're still required to record it.
И голова.
The head wound. Definitely an important clue. This is something we'll investigate first. As you can see, we don't have much to go on. Let's write down what preliminary causes of death we can think of. The nights have been particularly nasty lately. We will check if there are any signs of freezing internally. Considering the conditions in which he slept, his body may have become hypothermic. This is of no interest to us. Various types of accidents are a common cause of death among the homeless and the elderly. Perhaps old Toby slipped and accidentally hit his head. Since the deceased clearly smelled of alcohol, I'll add alcohol poisoning to our list. We still have one thing left for the basics. Rigor mortis. Well, we take our deceased by the hand. Gradually we raise it. Now let it go. As you can see, the hand falls loose. What's the conclusion? Death must have occurred more than 72 hours ago. The police information appears correct. Head trauma seems the most promising, so we'll start there. For this, I need an oscillating saw.
Так, пила.
The
Будем
cut
скрывать
is
черепушечку.
here.
Звук не слабый.
Ага.
Ты там отметил? Что ага.
After which, we remove the skin and
Ну,
take
на
the
рутубе, да? Во.
After the basic examination, we can see that the brain's cerebral gyri in both hemispheres are symmetric. The brain looks good. Let's take a cross-section.
А кукарача, а кукарача.
Ты реально не зада.
Some pathologists prefer to examine organs without removing them. However, for me, it's much more convenient to examine them on a board, which we'll do now.
Препарировать мозг на доске. На какой? А вот на этой. О, мозг уже тут.
Holding
Будем
a long,
резать.
narrow blade knife in the dominant hand, we slowly cut the cranial nerves on both sides, all the time pulling the brain towards us.
Коврика мышки не хватает.
So far, so good.
Разрезали мозг.
Hematoma seems to have had no effect on the brain.
Мозг целый.
Ты взвешивала?
Нет, там сразу разрезал.
А,
Ну, обычно, да, взвешивают еще. А, с другой стороны.
We can rule the fatal accident out as well.
Ага. Так, падение.
Brain is in good condition,
Исключаем.
so we have no choice but to proceed to the internal examination of the other organs. I grab a scalpel from my kit.
Делаем скальпель, скальпель, скальпель.
The
Скальпель
incision
берем.
should be in the shape of a letter Y. We use a deep cut to reach all the way to the ribs and to penetrate the abdominal wall. Alright, now we peel back and separate the skin.
Лук. Лук. Чё это ты не убираешь? О.
Now, we need to remove the ribs. We'll need the loppers for this.
а тебе надо лёгочь с этим?
Сейчас реберные дачи убирать. Так. Тык.
Quite a satisfying crunch. For some
Реально
anyway.
не всё так просто.
After removing the
Там
cartilage
вообще
tissue,
не
we
просто.
instantly notice two things. Firstly, there is no congestion of the internal organs. This means that although the deceased was hypothermic, it didn't kill him. Secondly, the deceased smoked like a chimney. So, we should take a closer look at those lungs. We
Легкие.
can see
Первая
widespread
легкая.
black and tarry deposits caused by smoking cigarettes.
Мгм.
Despite the tragic condition of the lungs, they are not the cause of death. Alice smoked too. It didn't kill her, but... what was I talking about? Lungs. Yes. Advanced inflammation.
Мгм.
What now? The syringe. Now's a good time to collect some samples.
Шприцы. Шприцы ты где? Вот.
Specifically 3. From the eye, the heart, and the bladder. I'm interested to see the concentration of alcohol in the body. Out on the bladder, we draw about 10 milliliters of fluid.
Раз.
5 milliliters from the left ventricle should do it. Vitreous humor analysis is very useful in indicating long-term alcohol abuse. Now we take our samples to the centrifuge. But before I do that, I need to find my notebook. My dyscalculia means that I always double-check the settings. Please excuse me while I run and fetch it.
Так. Записная книжка. Где ты?
It's been a while since the eye wash in this thing was changed. It's probably a health hazard now.
Где моя записная книжка? Микроскоп точно нет. Центрифуга. Не то. Ящик-то закрой, нет. Не закроет. В кабинете. Ну, пойдем в кабинет. Вот он.
This whole thing is covered in stains. I should check this out under the microscope sometime.
Пойдем к центрифуге.
Let's get back to the
Ты взял
examination.
содержимое?
А?
Содержимое взял?
Ага.
Или кровь?
Кровь из мочевого пузыря и из глаза. Там полный анализ идет на все.
We put all of the samples into the room. Now we set the appropriate time and speed.
Так, смотрим заметки. Так, время 15 минут, скорость 70. Так. Мы проверяем алкоголь, значит. 15 минут, 70%. Да, 15 минут, 70%. Образец 5 миллилитров. Еще раз. Да, 15.
Okay, let's roll.
Let's roll.
Oh shit. The fuses again.
Опять пробки вышибло, да? Ага.
Where were we? Oh yes, the blood alcohol concentration.
Зря ушел, да? Надо будет с пробки искать.
Let's see what we've got here. Everything's separated as it should. Our lab is closed until tomorrow after the last, incident. However, considering that Toby's favorite eau de parfum appears to be ethanol, I'm guessing the results won't surprise me at all.
Так, образцы мы взяли.
Let's go further. We will now focus on the cardiovascular system, specifically the heart. We remove the organ and examine it closely. We look for dark hypoxic areas, clots, or other elements that stand out as abnormal.
А мне говорили, просто осмотри сердце и скажи, что не так. Подробно объяснять, что искать.
At first glance, the heart looks fine. The pulmonary trunk and aorta seem to be in good condition. There are no pathological changes that would have contributed to Toby's death.
Ага.
Now let's take a closer look at the stomach.
Желудок.
Size is normal, healthy, pink color, and as expected, the stomach has no major external damage. We must now cut it open and inspect inside. We will do it carefully so that its contents do not spill out.
Пойдем вскрывать желудок.
We open the stomach along the greater curvature, from the heart to the pyloric end. Oh, I already feel like there's something left inside.
Давай, 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 давай. И...
Okay, large amount of gas,
Oof.
small amounts of yellow, grayish food content, resembling some kind of meat. Either our deceased hadn't eaten in days, or the bulk of his stomach had already found a way out. Looks like I'll have to find the missing contents.
Ага. Продолжаем проведение вскрытия, да?
There are two ways here. One is obvious, and the other is... It couldn't have been suffocation, could it? I'll add this to the list and move on to the deceased's neck.
Давай проверяем шею, да?
At first glance, the trachea looks normal. Same result as with the stomach. The external inspection doesn't tell us anything. This time we'll cut on a tray.
Пойдем резать.
While cutting such a small organ as the trachea, we must make a precise incision. To be able to cut with the very tip of the blade, we must hold the scalpel as we would a pen.
Где-то не надо резать, что ли? Ага.
And after careful examination and deduction, we've got it. A clogged trachea. It's time to summarize the whole thing.
Продолжаем вскрытие.
Based on the report and preliminary documentation, it's safe to assume that the deceased passed out after consumption of alcohol and then fell asleep on his back. Then, the gastric contents refluxed and flooded the airways, causing death. That's why we don't forget about the recovery position at dorm parties.
Ага.
And now it's all clear. The death was suffocation. Now, signature. The mystery is solved. But for us, this is not the end. First, the dead body needs
Ты
to be cleaned
конякал,
up.
блин.
For this, we will need to close the body and grab the needle. First, we unroll the skin flaps.
Тык. Тык.
And then, we sew the deceased back up.
А теперь его надо зашить.
I'm using the baseball stitch technique. This stitching method is very strong and quick to do. Beautiful.
И отходим
Now
от
we
тела.
say goodbye to the deceased and put them safely in the fridge, ready for the next stage of their journey.
Так. Закрывайся.
I'll drop these samples off at the lab on the way to the bar.
А убирать это кто будет?
Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. I guess I forgot to clean the knife. Some of my previous cases, a reminder of more prosperous times. I'll call Stephen. I don't feel like drinking today.
Под чутким руководством вскрыли первый труп. Чё за? О, второго. Как оно? Ага. Класс. Здорово, Юрик.
Откуда черепушку взял?
А?
Откуда черепушку
Да,
взял?
то ли сон, то ли фиг пойми. А чё плачешь? Черепушки, черепушки, черепушки. Сколько же Юриков, а?
Сон тебе надо.
Погребли его под собой, эти черепушки. Ну, кошмары ему снятся. Ну давайте, закрывайте уже. Я Полтава.
Счастливый.
Ну а чё, кофе вкусный. Мы это уже не в первый раз. Так.
Forgive me.
Ну да, кошмар.
What?
Кто спит одетым, блядь? Жратва на полу.
Dream. Ah, fuck.
Капец, ты засранец, однако.
Time flies, and probably doesn't have to get up to work.
Опа, что это такое?
I wasn't able
Тест
to
на
support her
беременность?
through this.
Нафиг он тебе?
Пилочка для ногтей.
Тест на беременность.
Till death do us part.
Это у кого?
Это у него дома обручальное колечко.
It was a
Жена
miracle
умерла.
that the coffee didn't wash off the writing. And that she said yes. She got it for her first day of work, and she broke it the same day. She said it was for luck.
Сережки.
These were from Thanksgiving. Stephen invited me. I was going to give them to his mother, but then I met Alice. That was the first time I saw her.
76-й год. Нифига себе.
It's always good to have something for a rainy day.
Ну, заначка, да, это всегда хорошо. Не спорю. Не то.
She got it for her
Не
first
то.
day of work, and she broke it the same day.
Да
She
ёпта.
said it was for luck.
Ну ладно. Закройся. Прикольно. Играю за какого-то наркомана. Опять таблетки пей.
It's been almost a year. So much light everywhere.
Париж.
Some days, I just feel like setting fire to all this paperwork. I'm fed up with it.
Ну, бюрократия, она такая. Я сразу ванну нашел, нифига себе.
I still feel uneasy. At this time, Alice would probably be sitting here reading a book.
Ага, с днем рождения, да? Что-то повсюду какие-то фотографии, еще что-то.
The remnants of last night's binge with Stephen. I'm not sure if it's still edible.
Жрать захочешь, ты
Bill
не такое
O'Day
сожалеешь.
keeps the defective Jack away.
Таскал бы уж эти таблетки
It's a
с
shame
собой.
these won't help with my hangover. The fucking phone. Okay. I know I'm late. I'll be there soon. It's not like the dead are impatient.
Jack, no.
Alice? Who is this?
It's Charlotte Graves.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you. I thought it was work calling.
It's okay. I hate it when work calls me at home, too. How is everything? We haven't talked since, you know.
Well, there are good days, and there are bad days. What can I say? At least I can hide away at work.
Well, you always seem the most comfortable in the dissecting room. Listen, I have an unusual request.
Okay, how can I help?
It's nothing serious. I just wanted to ask, do you have any pictures of Alice? Maybe one where the two of us are together? I'd love to have something to remind me of her.
I guess. I'm not sure. I'll look through her things.
Thank you. I'm sorry to trouble you with this. All this can't be easy for you.
I'll get through it somehow. I've been meaning to sort through her stuff for a while. Have you asked Stephen if he has anything?
Yes, I spoke with him this morning. He said he gave everything to their mother and that I should ask you.
I see.
Jack, I know you're trying. That you cope somehow. Stephen's there for you. Although, well, we all know how he can be. But, I mean, if you wanted to reminisce about Alice, talk.
I really should go now. I overslept. I'm late for work, and I still have some errands to run on the way.
Oh. Okay, sure. Sorry to keep you.
I'll look for something and send it over. Thanks for the call, and bye.
Oh, do you have my address?
Not on hand. You'd best remind me again.
292 Browning Lane, apartment 432, Johnson City, New York, 13790.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you. It would mean a lot to me. Just miss her so much.
Yeah, me too. And that's okay. Really, no problem.
Thank you. Take care, Jack.
You too, Charlotte. It was nice to hear you.
Так, если парень пристает к девке, значит он
Well,
яйца
that was a bit
подкатывает.
unexpected.
А если баба к
I'll be
мужику, она
fine
что
with
делает?
this sound.
Писю подкатывает.
Она не катается.
Стелет.
Чё за...
These were from Thanksgiving. Stephen invited me. I was going to give them to his mother, but Alice and Charlotte in Amsterdam.
Лето 1975 года. А вроде ничего так бабы. Эй,
Ну да.
It's hard to believe they've known each other for so long.
так, теперь надо найти конверт.
It would be better if Charlotte had this. It deserves to be on display and not hidden in a drawer. Okay, time to go to work. I'm seriously late.
Отнести письмо в почтовый ящик. Да, еще надо. Так, дверь закроем.
I don't think it's going to rain.
Ну ладно.
I should grab some coffee and aspirin on the way.
Так, поехали на лифте.
These fluorescent tubes are brutal.
Первый этаж. Че, никаких похабных надписей, ничего? Странно. А, надо было еще на этаж ниже ехать, да? Ясно. Где-то в жопе вышел, блин, мира. Через какую-то задницу.
I hope this helps, Charlotte. Okay. All done here. Time to go. Huh?
Ты в какую машину-то? В эту? Нет. Что, в этот старый? Тоже нет. Ну, скорее всего, вот это вот. Ну да.
Damn, I forgot my jacket. Well, I'll brave it for tonight. Too bad.
Приехали, да?
Nice and fresh. At least it's peaceful here.
Чей-то велик.
Good evening, Mr. Ridley.
The timesheet handman.
Some corpses have more personality than this guy.
Пиццу жрали. Собаки. И тут пицца. И... Кладовка.
Christ. Who leaves the window open in the middle of November? So I'd better check the answering machine.
Ну, посмотрим, что там.
Hi, Jack. I dropped by a little early today. I left the body with Ridley in the corridor. He wasn't sitting in the locker then, so maybe he'll even throw him into the room. Well, how are you doing? I mean, it's your first birthday without her, and... This, I still have a hangover, and you know me, I run to the John like the neighbor's fucking dog. You know, today I slipped on his shit again. That fucking furball. He always has to shit next to my car. Anyway, I can't come over in the evening, but we'll catch up on the weekend, okay? Bye. I almost forgot. Charlotte called me this morning. She asked about you, so answer your calls, Jack. This time it's not a reprimand for being late.
That's par for the course. I wonder when this clown will learn to look under his feet.
О, это типа годенюхи, да?
Birthday. I actually forgot it was today. Alice baked me muffins like these every birthday. A treat for later. I always crave something sweet after a section. Okay, joke's over. Apron, gloves, and get to work.
Чего? Ну давай наденем фартук. О, лаборатория. Открылась. Фига себе. Надеваем фартук.
Oh, man. I remember you. You were on that talent show. What was your name again? I need to order another batch of these. I've got to remember to do that later. And that's the whole point.
Нифига себе. Тебя что, схватили за шею, прокатили или что? Пытали? Так. Сходи. Пойду-ка я схожу сразу за этим. Если возьмет, конечно. А то опять туда бегать неохота. Видимо, придется. Он еще не бегает, он только ходит. Ну, а там и нельзя бегать. В принципе. Запускаем камеру.
Steven laughs at me for recording everything. He says I have a bigger collection of stuff like this than most of the creeps he's caught.
Запись
November
пошла.
21st, 1991. Time, 9:13 p.m. The autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Lecture for the Medical University of Missouri. After yesterday's lecture, you should already know the ins and outs, so today we'll be consolidating our knowledge. So, where do I start? That's right, police folder.
Ну, посмотрим, что у нас там есть.
Ah, yes, Samantha Barker. Now remember, there's probably going to be a lot of chatter about this. Found in her own apartment by police patrol. Officers were called by a concerned friend of the deceased, who had been unable to contact Barker for several days. During the interrogation, a friend of the deceased admitted that Samantha never got to grips with the sudden fame that came after winning such a high-profile talent show. The deceased was found in her own apartment, in a semi-recumbent position on an armchair. Large quantities of alcohol and empty packets of sleeping pills were also found in the apartment.
Тело ее выглядит так, как будто его знатно пытали.
After her first album became a commercial success, she was hit with a creative drought. She suffered panic attacks and severe sleep problems. Drugs and medication came into play. When questioned, friends admitted that Samantha's last days before losing contact seemed extremely happy and relaxed. She also quit drinking alcohol and mentioned something about rehab. The friend also admits that there was no indication of an impending tragedy.
Ага.
Well, let's see what settled this matter. As you can see, the body is fully clothed. Therefore, before we move on to photographic documentation, we must remove the clothes. This time, we don't have to focus on the clothes too much. However, there are cases where a clothing analysis can lead to the cause of death. Okay, now we can continue with the examination. Again, begin by taking photographs of the cadaver. I guarantee that over time it will cease being embarrassing for you.
Берем камеру.
First, we photograph the whole body.
Фотография в полный рост.
And now,
Yes.
any suspicious-looking marks or wounds. You don't get such bruises from a normal contusion.
А это уже то ли она подралась с кем-то, то ли чё. Видишь, ссадины. Может, даже прижигали.
Yes, I've seen this many times.
Сиськи тоже запиканы.
Да, все запекано.
Well, there's even more here.
Что-то на голове еще есть, да? А он плечом. Точнее, даже подмышка. И шея.
Interesting. Very uneven. We need to investigate this. A few we will need to look into here.
Пойдем посмотрим, что мы нашли. Общее. Давай начнем вскрытие.
Notes prepared. Time to take a closer look.
Так. Начинаем с лупы. Смотрим сначала
The
тут.
number of bruises suggests that there may have been some kind of tussle.
Угу. Причем довольно-таки
And
сильно
here's something
поролся.
interesting. The skin of the deceased is covered with numerous blisters. Some of them are ruptured. Others still contain fluid residue.
Угу. Я могу, конечно, все это убрать запикано, но
Such bruises are caused
пускай
by
лучше
either
будет.
a very heavy blow or by some internal issues.
Что с ногами?
More numerous blisters.
И
Some
шея.
furrows have imprinted more strongly, others less, as if someone was, undecided. We have some leads to investigate here. Let's write this down.
Так.
In general, such blisters usually appear in the case of mechanical abrasions, but due to the place of occurrence, although it's easier to have abrasions on your feet, but the number and size of the blisters suggests that it's probably a matter of barbiturate poisoning. Currently, it's difficult to say whether the bruises were the result of a beating, or whether it could be some kind of internal bleeding. Given the condition of the deceased, it's difficult to tell immediately whether the bruises were the result of a struggle, or perhaps the result of iron deficiency. On the neck of the deceased, we can see clear furrows, indicating that strangulation may be the probable cause of death. I'll add barbiturates to the list of necessary tests, to be checked in the lab later. After examining the organs, we can easily verify whether there was internal bleeding or whether the deceased was suffering from something. The examination with a UV lamp will dispel some doubts. Potential attackers could have left traces. A severed spinal cord, trauma to the larynx, or trachea will verify whether the hanging was the final nail in Miss Barker's coffin. Given the testimony of the victim's friend, I add alcohol poisoning to the list of potential causes of Miss Barker's death. A blood test will no doubt quickly verify that hypothesis. But first I'll check for external traces. For this we use the good old UV lamp. I look carefully at the whole body. UV rays will reveal any traces. The area around the head is empty. Torso. Empty, with that right hand clean. The left hand seems to be fine. No marks. Legs, there's nothing here. Well, nothing to surprise us here. Now gently, we take the deceased by the hand. And we check for rigor mortis. Again, the hand falls freely. After yesterday, you should know what this means. Since we don't have a definitive lead, we will examine all the key organs one by one. So, I'm starting the internal inspection.
Внутренний осмотр, да?
I dissect the skin of the deceased. And I proceed to deflect the skin flaps. Compared with yesterday's body, the deceased has only trace amounts of adipose tissue. Now for the ribs. What do we have here? Or rather, what don't we have? There is certainly no sign of internal bleeding. Sometimes regarding bruising, it doesn't take much. My wife was constantly banging into furniture, walking into door frames. That's a wonder she never broke anything. Before I disembowel the deceased, I will take samples for toxicological tests to determine the alcohol content in the body. I just need my syringe.
Прокрыл течение, тут ничего не было. Так, нам можешь парить, да?
Just to be sure, I'm taking samples from 3 organs: the eyeball, the heart, and the bladder. Analysis will rule out, or confirm, alcohol poisoning as the cause of death. All done. I'll transfer these to the centrifuge. What was it? 15, 70, 10, 75? My old but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy.
Я же хотел ее, блин, сразу взять.
Maybe one day I won't need my notebook. Numbers have never been my strong point. It's probably why I regularly forgot birthdays and anniversaries. I'm lucky Alice always forgave me.
Алкоголь, да?
Gently does it with this old thing. Handle with kid gloves.
15,70. И
I'm starting
запускаем.
the centrifuge. Let's see what results come out. The laboratory is already open, so... Fucking hell! Ridley! Mr. Ridley! Where is he? The fuses need resetting. Fuck it. I'll do it myself. I swear there was a flashlight in here.
Так, где хранилище? Так, это лаборатория. Туалет. Это офис.
Whatever. I know where the switches are anyway. First the right, and then the left. And voila. What? What the? Oh, for fuck's sake. Can't I work in peace? Jack Hanman speaking.
Easy, why so rude?
Steve? Sorry, man. This place is falling apart. I don't even lift a finger to help. You just can't work here.
Did the centrifuge strip the fuses again?
Yeah. Eventually, everything's gonna go up in smoke.
Look on the bright side. It's free cremation with your autopsy.
Jesus, stop it. That shit pisses me off.
Okay, sorry, Jack. Anyway, I'm calling to ask how the autopsy's going. Soon there'll be journalists sniffing around for info, so we'd best be ready.
I'll whiz through this in a couple of hours. It doesn't look like a complicated case to me. More of a formality. The report will be available in the morning.
Sounds great. Thanks. Phew. How's your head?
Well, my head seems better than yours. On the way to work.
Holy fuck. Jack, turn on the radio.
What? What's happening?
Quiet.
A 3-car police convoy was involved in an accident near Pete's Bay Bridge while transporting prisoners to Orleans Parish Prison. At the moment, we do not know the exact number of victims or whether any of the convicts escaped. However, the scale of the accident indicates a large number of victims, possibly even fatal ones. Police are on their way to investigate the incident and secure the area. We know that the injured prisoners are on death row. The police were to transport them to their execution, which was to take place tomorrow morning. Many of them are very dangerous criminals. We will report on the matter on an ongoing basis, so stay tuned with us.
What? Was? Stephen, was Red Pete one of the passengers? He was, wasn't he? What if he survived?
Jack, I have to go. You want me on site?
What if he survived?
I gotta go. Talk to you later, okay?
Fuck. Calm down, Jack. Pills. I need my pills. You heard him, Jack. A serious accident. Lots of victims. He's definitely dead. Yes. Nothing's going.
Прямо на перчатке? Ну ты, блин, даешь.
Christ. I've got to get back to work. What?
Ладно, лабораторию пока закроем.
Technical break. At least I know I can pursue a career as a janitor if I need to. My own trusted. Fucking hell! Alright, let's see if we were able to get anything out of this piece of crap. And miraculously, yes.
Так, конечно,
The
делать нельзя.
samples did spin. I'll transfer them to the chromograph in the lab.
Хроматограф, да.
Alright, let's load this up. I placed the test tubes in the rack.
Раз, два, три.
Now, just take 5 milliliters from each. Precisely.
5 миллилитров.
And the next.
Ага. Второй образец.
Five more. We put the prepared sample into the machine. Let's see what we have here. The results indicate that the deceased did consume alcohol shortly before her death. However, this is not an amount that could cause poisoning leading to death. Just slight inebriation. I can return to the body and continue the rest of the examination. The chromatograph results show that we can eliminate alcohol poisoning from our list of potential causes of death. However, remember that alcohol can affect the functioning of the entire body. It disturbs the heart rhythm, accelerates its rate, and dilutes the blood, which may result in more severe bleeding in the event of an accident. Also remember that alcohol affects the metabolism of drugs in the liver, which I'll now look at in more
Токсикологический
detail.
анализ, да?
First, I'll pick up the syringe again. I'll take samples from the liver and the heart to test the concentration of barbiturates in the body. That's enough. I'll do the test later. I'd best not try my luck with the centrifuge right now. Now I remove the liver.
Ну, печень как печень.
No lesions. However, it is slightly enlarged. Perhaps it's a slight inflammation or drug-induced damage. It may also be the result of the deposition of substances in drugs. Let's check the weight of the organ. The weight is 1,300 grams. The liver is enlarged.
Ага.
I'll move on to a cross-sectional study. Perhaps the enlargement is the result of early cancerous changes. The blade glides through smoothly. I don't feel like I'm encountering any changes with an unusual structure. No steatosis or cirrhosis. The liver is actually quite clean inside.
Продолжаем вскрывать.
The liver is basically healthy. We already know that the deceased didn't abuse alcohol. The question is, what about drugs or other substances? I move on to the heart.
Что-то есть.
Oh. At a glance, we can see signs of a heart attack. The deceased is definitely too young to have a heart attack due to natural causes. The liver is enlarged, not from alcohol poisoning, and the heart looks like it has collapsed. So, I guess we need to go to the centrifuge and check for these barbiturates. The last time I saw this kind of poisoning was a few years ago. I better check the data in my notebook. He was a middle-aged guy. He took his medication and forgot about it. So, he took another pill. He forgot
Барбитураты,
again
да?
and took another one. And another one. Until he took the last one. That's why it's better to have him... Alright.
Так, барбитураты. Ага, вот. 10 минут, 75%. Так. 10 минут. Или 5. Забыл уже. 10 минут, 75%. Да блин, где мышка опять? Ё-моё. Так, время я поставил, тут надо 75
Close the
поставить.
centrifuge and pray that it doesn't trip anything again.
Да запускайся ты. Семьдесят пять. О, пошла. Сейчас опять вырубит все.
It looks like our luck is in.
Нифига себе. 2 раза подряд вырубала, а сейчас нет. Давай возьмем.
We can take the samples to the lab now.
Пойдем проверять.
I wonder how she was able to get hold of these drugs.
Так, идем сюда.
Okay, 2 samples this time.
Идем сюда.
6 milliliters each.
Так, 6, да? Ага. Берем первый. Первый есть. А, теперь надо поставить 12. Есть. Второй образец.
Well,
Ну, пойдем.
let's see how much of it we find.
Что у нас там?
Nothing surprising. Significant amounts of phenobarbital metabolites of hepatic origin. Looks like I'll have to check the contents of the deceased's stomach.
Ну, пойдем желудок проверять.
The tests show that the collected blood contained enough barbiturates to cause cardiopulmonary collapse. The question now is whether it was an accident or a deliberate act. I'm proceeding to examine the stomach. Before extraction, I ligate the entire organ to prevent its contents from spilling out. Okay, I'm now cutting out the organ, which will move to the board for dissection.
Вроде ничего такого, да, в желудке не видно. Ладно, пойдем вскрывать желудок.
Normally, the stomach and intestines are full of surprises.
А он, кстати, после печени нож не помыл.
But not this time. We see remnants of undigested food and a dense mass of pills. You don't take this many drugs by accident.
Ага. Кто-то ей напихал. Или сама проглотила, да?
Length and width normal. No obvious pathological changes. Undigested drugs found in the stomach of the deceased. The direct cause of death was probably an overdose. I'll check the rest of the organs, and then the nervous system. We'll see how significant the marks on the neck are for the whole case.
Ага, легкие, да,
Lungs
посмотрим.
are normal, no lesions. The victim was probably a smoker, but was unlikely to be in any serious danger. The deceased's intestine is normal, no clear pathological changes. The deceased's trachea is normal, complete patency. No food or fluid. Abdominal cavity checked off. We can check the brain.
Ну давай будем вскрывать черепную коробку.
I make a cut to open the lid of the victim's skull and remove the brain.
О, снова мозг.
Brain is normal. No obvious lesions. Alright. I need to dissect it on a board.
Прикольно сделано. Прикалывается таки, блядь. Как мозг карачу танцует. А чё, мозг не взвешиваешь?
Using a knife, I carefully cut through the brain tissue. I peek inside a bit, and... I don't think there's anything worth noting. As expected, the deceased's brain is in excellent condition. No discoloration or changes due to hypoxia. There is still the matter of the marks on the neck. They look superficial, but who knows? Maybe the spinal cord has been severed. I need goggles and a saber saw. I think the goggles were in the desk drawer. Oh, they're out there. Alice. Saw. I need saw. Fuck. I don't see it here. Oh. I know. I probably left it in the basement after its last cleaning.
В подвале. Вот ты гений, конечно. А как я должен попасть в подвал? Это не подвал. Это, кстати, окно не закрывается.
Mr. Ridley, I need a key to the basement.
It's in the social room.
Why is the key lying at the... never mind. Thank you.
Hey, Hammond, did you hear about the convoy? Well, maybe you'll get a chance to relive your glory days and catch Red Pete again, huh?
Let's hope there won't be a need for that. If only he could put that much enthusiasm into his work. I get the feeling that searching through this rubbish is more pathogenic than working with... please, may this be the last trip.
Сюда не пускают, да, пока?
Fuck. Why did the prison convoy have to get into an accident? Jack, take a deep breath. Deep, pleasantly cool breath. You're nearly finished with the autopsy. Then you can go home and rest. I'll take the saw.
Поэтому нужно иметь инструмент под рукой.
Fuck! It's jammed! Doesn't anyone do maintenance around here? Damn hatch. Damn Red Pete. Will I ever... Will I... If only...
Ой, бля. Ну и срач, конечно. Ну ладно. О. Чё ты так испугался?
It would be easier if I put things away properly.
Мне просто интересно, что тут еще есть.
Damn student lectures and their fucking props.
Дверь-то закрой. Ну, нет, так нет. Открыл и бросил, как обычно, чё, да? По сути, это этот, как его, лобзиковая пила.
And like clockwork, he's already sleeping.
Как ее, не лобзиковая. Блин, забыл.
Sorry for the short interruption. I hope you all took the opportunity to grab some coffee. And now that I have everything I need, I'll move on to revealing the spinal cord.
Ну давай начнем.
The spine is removed. I can see that the spinal cord was not severed. This shows that apart from the marks around the neck, hanging didn't negatively affect the condition of the deceased. Ladies and gentlemen, almost over. Now, to sum up and tidy away the body. The direct cause of Samantha Barker's death was a heart attack resulting from an overdose of barbiturates.
Так, точно не суицид. Синяков особо нет. Значит, у нас
Traces found on the
передозировка.
body suggested the overdose was a deliberate act, following a failed attempt to hang herself. The autopsy found no evidence or genetic materials indicating that death could have been the result of an attack. Third-party involvement must be excluded.
Так, это у нас суицид.
Autograph, and we can start sewing.
Да, как-то так.
In the 1950s and 1960s, the use of barbiturates for suicide was actually quite common. I think it was most talked about after the death of Marilyn Monroe.
А органы внутрь положить вообще никак, да?
At home, it was a help and comfort. On death
Ага.
row,
Но только не
farewell
тут.
to the convicts.
Тут дошивать будешь, нет?
Well, we're done for today. Thank you for your attention.
А черепушку на место поставить?
Tiring day. I can feel those hunger pains coming on. I guess I'll have to pick something up along the way. Gloves in the trash. Leave the apron for cleaning. Now I can go. Camera. I didn't turn it off.
Так выключи. Ну нет, так нет. Идем дальше.
A nightcap will do me good. Good night, Mr. Ridley. The police will pick up the body and accompanying documentation in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I guess there are actually two things in this world you can be certain of. Death and Ridley's reluctant attitude. Alright, maybe three things. My whiskey on the rocks when I get home.
Ни перчатки не снял, ни халат, ничего, так и уехал. Прикидывай, если его менты тормознут. А он в таком костюмчике.
Cold. I guess I should have brought my jacket to work. This block can be quite intimidating when it's so quiet. Almost there. Stephen didn't want to go out for a drink tonight, so I'll drink my whiskey in the company of my TV. Shit. I forgot the muffin. Well, Ridley will have a nice treat for the night. I'm sure he'll be his happy, thankful self tomorrow.
Так, какой мой этаж-то? Третий, наверное.
What? What? What the fuck? But I locked it. I'm sure of it.
Охренеть. Квартиру разнесли.
Who the fuck did this? I don't have anything valuable. Oh god. Oh god. Fuck! Great. That's all I need. What if it was Red Pete? Where? I need my pills. I can't get my thoughts together. Okay. I'm gonna have to report this to the police. Christ. Why did the neighbors not report anything? I'm calling Steven.
В ментовку позвонил сначала.
Steven?
Now, Jack, I told you, I'm going for a drink with you for another night in a row.
That's not why I'm ringing. Although I could do with one. Someone broke into my apartment.
What? Did anyone see anything? Have you called the police yet?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, no one contacted me. As for the police, I'm calling right now, officer.
All right. Do you want me to head round? Look for any trace evidence?
I don't know. No, I guess not. Honestly, I don't have the strength to deal with it right now. I just want to lie down.
Are you sure? Because it's no trouble at all.
I think so. I'm sorry. I just wanted to calm down a bit. I don't know. That's probably some stupid joke. Only money was stolen.
Money? From Alice's box? Oh, fuck. Listen, I can come over. I have the key. I'll drop by, do what I need to do, and you go get some sleep.
No, don't trouble yourself. Lately, I've been just so tired and distracted. I don't know. Maybe I forgot to close the apartment door on my way to work. If anything else is missing, I'll let you know and call the police.
All right. Just make sure you close it tonight. If you see anything weird tomorrow, let me know. Whoever did this may be watching you.
I don't think anyone is dumb enough to come back.
You're probably right. Take care, Jack. If you need anything, call me.
I promise I will. Thanks, Steven. Sorry to bother you again. I've just been all over the place lately.
It's not a problem. Good night, Jack.
Good night.
А телек кто включил?
What?
Он взял и вырубился.
I guess I should.
Убраться в квартире, да? Что-то повсюду эти фотографии. Ему было бы проще, если бы он их убрал.
Это у него дома, что ли?
Ага. Кто-то вломился, деньги украл.
Shit.
Что
The
с
glass
первыми?
in this thing needs to be
Hmm?
Что с
replaced.
первыми?
Деньги спрятали.
Jack, why?
I think I'm just tired.
У него, походу, еще и
Yeah.
глюки начинаются.
I could leave it like this. There you go. I still don't understand why Alice liked this painting so much.
Так. Да закрыт этот шкафчик.
Maybe I could barricade the door with this. I should pack this thing away. I have no interest in DIY at the moment. Now I'm sure I won't get caught up in these papers. Alice's family should really have some of these. That's enough for now. Jeez, I'm exhausted. I'll get the rest in the morning.
Всегда бы так подошел, что-то ткнул, и все встало на место, как было. О, проснулись. Я сперва подумал, что здесь еще кто-то лежит. А это тупо одеяло так свернуто, да? Нифига себе.
Oh yeah, I should take my pills.
Так кто успел так прибраться? Ну столько сильный срач был. И стекло появилось. Ёк макалю. Хоть бы срач вынес, раз убрался.
I feel like it takes me forever to finish these things. That's enough. It will never look clean. I need to quickly change and finish getting ready. I'm gonna be late for work again. Got my keys, got my files. Check. Time to go. Remember to close the door properly, Jack. I'll ask the neighbors tomorrow if they saw anything suspicious. Ugh. I wonder if Ridley fixed the coffee machine. Huh?
Какого хрена? Ладно, пойдем пешком. Мы не гордые. Поехали.
Maybe a bit optimistic. I'd better grab a coffee on the way. I'm exhausted. I
Ты
wonder who
кофе-то
Steve
взял, нет?
brought in today. Good morning, Mr. Ridley. Oh, he's not here yet? No, I'll do without him.
Гробик. Хорошая кровать.
Oh, come on. He was too lazy to even wheel the gurney to the autopsy room.
Ага, и тебе привет.
Almost there. Now for the tough part. The body needs to be moved. Where's Ridley when you need him? All right. I just need some gloves and my apron. Then I can get to work.
Одеваем фартук.
I'm going to need my
Перчаточки.
tape recorder for this.
Ага, ничего нового, да? Ладно. Диктофон.
Autopsy dated November 22nd, 1991. 7:32 p.m. Led by Dr. Jack Hanman. I begin by verifying the identity of... It's most likely Harper Lloyd, age 35. Found in a well-owned house by her neighbors Leonard and Dorothy Chelsea. Reported missing for a week.
Ага. Ладно.
It is also known that the deceased was diagnosed with affective bipolar disorder. Harper was placed on drug therapy, which she dropped out of fairly regularly. During her treatment, she was under the care of her common-law partner, Richard Benson, professional truck driver. The last person who had contact with the deceased was her partner. Harper's last message read as follows. I'm gonna take a shit in their stupid well. Then we'll see who has the last laugh. Nice one. Police records also show that Mrs. Lloyd was in constant conflict with her neighbors. The constant parties and subsequent brawls made living in the area nearly impossible, especially when Lloyd's partner wasn't around. Firefighters found the body after the Chelsea family began complaining that their tap water tasted strange, and at one point had begun to smell and turn a dark color.
То бишь они там трупный яд глотали потихоньку. Так, все, да?
I proceed to open the bag, and the most important task in forensic identification of a drowned person is to distinguish whether the death occurred before or after entering the water.
Ну и запашок сейчас, конечно, будет. Это я вам гарантирую.
Okay, that could have been worse.
Это да.
I carefully removed the victim's clothes so as not to damage the skin. The deceased was found, one shoe was missing. I'm going to need the camera to document all possible suspicious marks.
Камера. Камера.
Definitely the first thing that stands out is the very advanced post-mortem gigantism.
Общая фотография.
The skin of the deceased appears very delicate, smooth, and relaxed from being in the water for a long time. The whole body is extremely pale. It's likely that the deceased was lying on her back when she was fished out.
А вот синий вен это...
Post-mortem markings are seen on the underside of the body. That is, on the back, thighs, and calves of the deceased.
Что с лицом? Что-то так опухло сильно. Избили, что ли?
There are bruises and hemorrhages on the neck. These usually occur due to increased inhalation when fighting to breathe underwater.
Ее, походу, еще и утопили, да?
The so-called washerwoman's skin on the feet. The deceased had indeed been in the water for a long time. The skin on the hands can be easily separated from the body. The separation takes the form of a glove.
Ну это да. В воде пробыла очень долго. То ли ожоги, то ли
There are
покусали.
some obvious scratches on the skin.
Царапины, блин. Ну да, стандартно.
So, after the preliminary exam, it's time to take a closer look at this. Today's date. The deceased was clothed. Rigor mortis does not need to be checked. Based on the state of decay, you can be sure it has subsided.
Так. Давай смотреть.
Where to
Что
start?
у нас тут есть?
The spots have a purplish blue-red hue, which is a typical sign of the death of the organism. Yep, Pretty typical. Liver mortis are formed as a result of putrefaction of blood in the veins.
Ноги.
Due to the fact that the deceased was wearing shoes all the time, her feet are in better condition than her hands. Nevertheless, we can still notice a clear, wavy skin and the so-called washerwoman's skin texture.
Так, рука.
No obvious signs of struggle. The skin on the hands would have easily peeled away from the flesh. Some of the fingers have already lost their nails. There are obvious scratches on the skin, especially on the back and hands. These could be defensive wounds, evidence of some sort of altercation prior to death. We see thick, white foam in the mouth of the deceased, resulting from pulmonary edema. Foam is a characteristic in deaths due to drowning. Okay, that's probably enough to indicate a direction for further examination. I'd better note that down in the records. Hands heavily wrinkled from considering the deceased's penchant for diffuse spots. There doesn't seem to be any. Those abrasions, marks found on the neck and foaming at the mouth are typical signs of drowning people.
Всем мы так писать сразу в 6 местах.
A simple trip, loss of balance, and as a result, you end up in a deep hole with no way out. Liver mortis of a different color could indicate poisoning with carbon monoxide,
Topless.
cyanides, or nitrates. However, their distribution suggests that the victim was probably lying. Maybe it's just an abrasion, or maybe, in this case, the question is,
Сейчас
was
покажу.
drowning an accident or of suicidal intent?
Через смерти надо остановить.
Ага. Так. Какого хрена там что-то не убирается?
Значит, не все сделал. Все изучил.
Рука, нога, ступные пятна, царапины, все. А,
That's all for now.
падение он не отметил.
Before I begin the dissection, I'll make sure the suggested identity is
Глаз
correct.
еще не вытер. А?
А, фиг его, у нас уже было без глаза. И как я должен установить ее личность?
Может, татуировки где-то есть любимые пятна?
Так.
The suitcase with the fingerprint equipment should be around here somewhere.
А, отпечатки пальцев надо снять. Не то. То. Не то. И где тут чемоданчик? Ну, чемодан. Погоди. А, вот он.
Oh, here it is. With decomposing bodies, the tissue of the pads and the fingers tends to shrink. To remove these shrinkages, a mixture of glycerin or air is used. If the body of the deceased is well preserved, the fingerprint sheet should always be checked. Slipping fingers, too much or too little ink, or inaccurate hand position can make fingerprints illegible. I'm going to conduct a dactyloscopic examination. If in fact the deceased is in the police database, I will find her.
Так, мне нужен шприц, получается. А, нет, просто так сначала руку нажимаем, да?
Glycerin is injected successively between the nail and the skin of each finger. The substance then enters the fingertip, removing shrinkage and wrinkles. Now I take a brush. Only when the skin is taut and elastic can you use ink.
Я еще что не нанес.
I think it's enough. I'm getting fingerprint samples. In the case of drowning victims, you have to be extremely careful. The skin may fall off the hand like a glove when you take the print. I'll use the fax machine to add the print into the system. Green
Факс.
button, and
Сканируем.
once the data uploads, I'll run the prints against the police database on the computer. Great. The data is there. Click upload. Now, go through the database and find a matching print. Expect possible hours of fun.
Ага, это есть. Даже так.
One more. Analyze button.
Нифига себе. Система не пиль.
And we have a result. Everyone has a story to tell, even if it's just a police record. So, as predicted, the deceased turned out to be Harper Lloyd. That went smoothly. I'll print this out and attach it to the medical records. Great. Now I can go back to my inspection.
Так,
I'm
продолжаем
adding the name
вскрытие.
of the deceased. I'll start the internal examination by taking fluid from the victim's brain. A needle inserted through the nose will do the trick. If the victim was alive when she fell into the well, she must have swallowed water fighting for her life, and then diatoms, characteristics of pooled water like a well, got into the body. In the meantime, I'll check the sample under the microscope. I'm sure that these algae traces will be found in the samples taken from the well where police found the body. Now I need to adjust the knobs properly and place the diatom in the center of the slide. Diatoms are single-celled microscopic algae. I won't even notice an arm. Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with the aperture still needs adjustment. The image is too dark. It's not a... and perfect. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. perfect. It's not a dirty lens, and perfect.
Микроскопом волнуюсь.
Я атомовые водоросли изучаю, что ли?
Вот.
Что она вот тут
It's not a dirty
всё
lens, I'm
пробито,
afraid,
всё
and
рисуется.
perfect. As expected, we find the aforementioned algae in the solution. Their upper part, Epitheca, which overlaps the lower, Hypotheca, is clearly visible.
Да,
The
водоросли
presence of
нашли.
diatoms in the brain samples taken indicate that the deceased was certainly alive when she fell into the water and was possibly conscious.
Продолжаем.
Since there were diatoms in the brain, it means that many more of them must have entered the body. Studies of the rest of the organs will most likely confirm this hypothesis. I can finally get to the practical part.
Делаем скальпель, да?
I must be extra careful because the skin of the deceased is very stretched. I wouldn't want an explosion here. You can immediately see a very large swelling of the organs. In addition, all internal organs are very congested. I proceed to
Блин.
remove the rib cage.
Это нажал. Клещи.
It's easy to see that the ribs have been imprinted in the lungs. So, I'm going to start by drawing blood from the lungs for testing for diatoms. If diatoms were only present in the lungs, this would mean that the victim was placed in the well after death, and the perpetrator wanted to get rid of the corpse in this way. Now, I remove the lungs and proceed to their examination. Taking the lungs in my hand, I feel that the tissues have lost their elasticity, which is the result of water emphysema. In addition, there is significant swelling of the organs, and as a result, we have a nice imprint of the ribs. The emphysema itself, it's clear how far it's progressed, which is characteristic of drowning. Corpses found in water are worth examining with a tomograph. However, I can't count on such luxuries, so I must reach for a more archaic technology. A bucket and water.
Ага. Ведро. То кто там был? И?
Who has anyone been here? I
Забавненько.
hope no one dipped a mop in it. It's best to go to the lab for this. Historically, the lung float test is used to detect infanticide. The water should be at room temperature.
А набирают кипяток.
To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water. This checks if there is air in the lungs. And speaking of lungs, everything is ready to bring them here.
Вернулся к телу взять легкие, да?
Oh, Jesus.
Здорово. А,
Of course, such a study isn't without flaws. Air may have entered a newborn's airways during resuscitation attempts. Gases released during decomposition could also give a false result. In this case, however, it's about something else, namely, the amount of fluid in the lungs. To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water, and wait to see if they fall or if they will float on the surface. Just as I assumed, the lungs collapsed easily.
Понесли легкие обратно.
Fluid could have entered the lungs during panic attempts to catch breath underwater, but it could also be the result of bacterial infections.
Кто-нибудь будет кушать?
So further investigation is needed. I move on to dissecting the lungs of the deceased. You can hear the distinct, very unpleasant crackling of the tissues being cut through. The parenchyma is remarkably pale, although small hemorrhagic foci and petechia are present on the surface. All right. Now, I will check the collected fluid under a microscope. If we find 20 diatoms on the slide, it can be considered drowning, and our result is not false positive due to possible contaminations.
Oh.
Let's see. Although I expect I won't even notice an... The aperture still needs adjustment. The image is too dark. It's not a dirty... And perfect. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. As expected, in solution, the diatoms are clearly visible. There are smaller and larger clusters of them. There will definitely be more than 20 of them. I'll make a note of all this. So far, this case looks pretty standard. It's clear from the beginning that it's drowning. Well, the procedure requires me to check everything anyway.
Кто-то есть в прозекторской. Кто-то ходит.
Сейчас ночь?
Да.
Проверь.
Так.
So, I move on to checking the other organs. I ligate the heart, and then remove it for inspection.
Так, продолжим. Сердце, да?
Strongly developed putrefactic hemolysis of the organ can be seen at first glance. Apart from that, no signs of a heart attack or other heart disease.
Чего?
Так. Надо еще отметить. Отмечаем. Так, отметили.
I move on to the next organ. This time, it's the liver.
А печень сильно увеличена. Даже очень. Что такое?
It's immediately apparent that the deceased didn't care for herself. Like most organs, the beginnings of cirrhosis are visible in some cases.
Ну да, цирроз печени.
I transfer the organ to a board and proceed to dissect.
Пойдем резать печень.
The cross-section clearly shows dilated veins and many small hemorrhagic foci. I must admit that this is quite a feat, considering the rather young age of the deceased. Heartburn to her drinking so much, she might not have lasted a few more years.
Пыль-то.
35, по-моему.
I move on to the stomach. I take a sample of the fluid for testing.
Шприц еще нужен, да?
It looks very turbid. I'll see what happens after spinning, but that's in a moment. Now, I carefully ligate the organ, then cut it off. It's enlarged, probably full of putrid gases. I transfer it to the board and carefully open it, checking the contents.
Тут ничего не отмечается, сам написал. Пойдем резать желудок. Так, что у нас тут в желудочке?
One thing you'd never get used to is how much this desk smells. Okay, the stomach is full of fluid and unidentified organic matter, which is probably leftover food. So let's check the diatoms. Again, but in a centrifuge for a change. The problem with examining drowned people is being able to show whether the death was due to drowning or whether something else contributed to the death. Cramp, heart attack, drugs,
Охренеть, у меня
homicide,
еще и
or some
перезапустился.
accident. Such
на Твиче.
analysis requires viewing from different angles and a careful interpretation of the collected data, including those from the field. That's why it's so important to collect as many samples as possible. Unfortunately.
Дверь закрываем. Так, центрифуга.
Okay, this is one last little sample. Now set.
Так. Алкоголь, барбитураты не то. О, 35 минут, 25%. Ага. Тридцать 35 минут. Двадцать пять, по-моему, надо. Проверимся. 25 и 35. Запускаем центрифугу. И крутим. Крутим. Быстро прошли. 35 минут. Давай.
Done. I'll run it directly into the chromatograph and run it against the data from the police. I'm certain the analysis will show similarities between the fluid and water in Chelsea's well.
Так. Стойка.
Let me think. 3 milliliters should be fine.
Ага, 3 миллиметра. 3, да? Миллилитра надо.
Okay, now it's the chromatograph's turn.
Поехали проверить. Что у нас тут хорошего?
The water sample matches the one provided by the police. Well, the results are quite clear. I was hoping it would be a more interesting case. More diatoms. Analysis indicates the same origin. Blah, blah, blah. There's little left to do. I'm going to check the airway patency of the deceased. Interesting. Looks like there's something stuck in the trachea. I'm moving to the board for further inspection. I dissect the trachea and open the organ. Inside, I find a wedding ring. This is interesting. Let me look at it. Based on the size, I can say that it's a woman's wedding ring. Quite standard from the outside. There's an engraving inside.
Девять 13 980 1980, да?
What the fuck? But this is my ring. Alice's ring. But how did it? But this should be at home. I have it. At home. I have to check this out. Where are my meds? Where the fuck are my meds? Huh? Jesus Christ! Hope these all make it go away. I have to check the apartment. It can't be. Jesus Christ! Mr. Ridley. Mr. Ridley!
What's all the ruckus?
I need to go home. Immediately.
What? Now?
I have to. Have you seen anyone here this morning? Anybody suspicious?
Oh, there was no one. Dorothy was, but only for a moment, then she left. What's wrong with you, Hammond?
Okay. Thanks.
What about the corpse?
I'll come back, I promise. Jesus Christ! I have to check this out.
О, ё-моё. Нашел обручальное кольцо жены в трупе. Точнее, в горле трупа.
This can't be real.
Тебя же ограбили недавно.
Where is it? Where? It's not here. It's not. I need to go. This is sick. Fuck. Come on, Steven. Pick up the fucking phone.
What's up, man?
They took the ring.
What? What ring? What are you talking about?
They took the wedding ring. Alice's wedding ring.
One sec. You mean burglary? You said nothing was missing.
Yes, I know that. I don't know. I was jittery. Maybe I didn't notice. I don't know, but that's not the worst of it.
Calm down, Jack. Breathe. What happened?
I found it in the trachea of the deceased I was working on. Do you understand? I pulled it out of a dead woman's trachea!
What?
I don't know what's going on. You think Red Pete wants revenge? He's playing with me, huh? I knew it. I knew it from the beginning this was going to happen. I didn't make it up!
Чертова паника у него.
Listen to me. Try to calm down. Don't leave the apartment. I'll be with you right away, okay? I'm on my way.
What sane person would do something like that? How? And when? When the fuck? Fucking Ridley lets in whoever he likes as usual. What are you saying? Steve? Steven? Don't leave me, man. Come on. Fuck. Oh, God, what now? Okay, just calm down. Just calm down.
А, заход стол.
I need a drink. Jesus. What's
Виски.
going on? Just one sip more. Yep.
Нажрался и упал, да? До того, как приехал Стивен.
Jesus.
А откуда вот это вот справа? Дырка.
Just
Я там вроде не было.
sip more. Oh, God.
Так я думал, что упадет.
All right. I can't do it anymore. These reports will kill me one day. I'll have to finish it over the weekend. It's time to go to work.
На работу?
I should take out the trash first. Jesus. Fuck. Maybe I'll just ignore it. Yes.
Hi, this is Charlotte. I guess I interrupted you again?
Ага.
Oh, hi. No, I just... I wrote reports in this last sections, and I was just about to leave for work.
I always know when to call.
Yeah, definitely. What's up? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. What about you?
Okay, nothing new. I had a few days off.
Oh, that's nice. Then... Did you have a moment to look for something for me?
Опять?
Something for you?
Well, the photo with the photo I asked you for?
It hasn't come yet? Oh, sorry, but I said it a week ago.
No, not yet. Maybe I'm too impatient. I'm sorry for rushing you. You have so much on your mind, I thought maybe you forgot.
It's
Uh-huh.
okay. No worries. With my pills, Pills. I almost forgot to take my pills. So you see...
Yeah.
I have to go now.
Yes, sure.
Let me know if you still haven't received the letter. Then I'll try... Well, maybe I'll find something else.
Oh, really? Could you? It would be great if you could.
Ага.
Really?
Yes. I know it means a lot to you.
Well, I won't hold you any longer. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Damn. Did I mess up the address? How am I gonna get those pills? Maybe I should invite Charlotte to do something herself.
Вынести мусор. Действительно. Я бы этот мусор вынес. Где этот мусор?
Ugh. Why is it so wet? Ugh. I shouldn't be this tired.
Я лучше спущусь на первый. И все. Потом выйду. Уже пешочком. Здорово.
What's going on?
Походу ему пора в больничку ложиться. Ну, бросай. Ё-моё. Ну.
I wonder if Alice's mother has a film of this photo somewhere. I actually hadn't thought about it before. I should call her on Friday. Oh, God. Why do I like sleeping so much?
Так, я сейчас приду. Так, продолжим. Местечко, конечно, тоже внушает оптимизм и вселяет желание жить. Еще какие-то
Excuse me, Jack.
птеродактили орут.
Good afternoon.
Isn't it a bit early for you?
I missed our invigorating conversations. Has Stephen brought the body?
Yeah, the trolley's in the hall.
Опять?
Wheeling it to the dissection room will be invigorating enough for you.
I've missed how friendly and helpful you are. I think I'll get straight to work on this one. Focusing on something will do me some good. Christ, this one's heavy. Hey, Mr. Ridley, I need help. I can't lift this bag myself. Ridley! Ugh, wasn't easy, but at least I can start.
Что, фартук уже не одеваешь? Только перчатки?
A new
Oh,
package
ладно.
must have arrived. I guess Dorothy ordered it. I think I'll skip recording a video for the students today. They don't need to see me and the body. Ugh. And they'll still have the accompanying photos anyway.
А, теперь наоборот. Сначала перчатки, потом фартук.
November 27th, 1991, 5:14 p.m. Conducted by Dr. Jack Hanman. James Evans Jr., also known as Jesse. Age about 30, weight 130 kilograms, height 180 centimeters. Police photos show that the body was not even particularly hidden, but only covered with a thin layer of soil, branches, and leaves. Evans had previously been convicted of possession of stolen goods, robberies, and drug trafficking. There were also attempts to accuse him of leading a criminal group responsible for burglaries in the New Orleans area. What? Burglaries in the New Orleans area? This is... It's a rather strange coincidence. The body was found naked and mutilated. Clothes, probably belonging to the deceased, were found lying nearby.
Ага.
The body was found inadvertently in the woods near Peetsville. The dogs picked up the scent while searching for a missing boy.
Ай, хрен его знает. Грабитель, походу.
The deceased's father, James Evans Sr., is a local... Sounds disturbing. I wonder what condition the body is in then. I'll start by opening the bag. Oh, fuck. I didn't expect this level of mutilation.
Нифига себе его
This is gonna be a
изуродовали.
dirty job. I'll check the
Что-то
bag
погорело,
that's
что-то
left.
погрызли. Головы не хватает.
Maybe there will be something worth noting about the victim's clothes.
М?
Лесу нашли.
Ну да, что-то типа того. Его даже особо не прятали.
Leather belt. You can
Ремень.
see that it's been serving its owner for a long time. Plain cotton t-shirt. Classic jeans. Well, dirty and torn. The bloodstains don't appear to be related to any injuries on the body. The deceased must have been unclothed before he was injured. Traces of dirt mixed with blood and rubbed leaf litter. Evans must have been crawling, or was dragged along the ground. A lighter, engraved with the police insignia. Stolen? Or maybe purchased from a pawn shop? It looks somehow... it's probably a coincidence. Interesting. Most of the blood is visible around the neckline. However, after decapitation, I would expect a larger stain, reaching much further. Mainly traces of soil. It's a bit like the perpetrators pulled his shirt over his head. Something's stuck here. It looks like some kind of ecdysis? Scale? This
Крокодил,
could
походу.
point to an animal being responsible.
Судя по чешуе, это крокодил. Только откуда ему там взяться?
Certainly not my style. Traces of blood and plasma. Is this? Oh, you can push it. After all, what else could I expect?
Белый порошок.
Weird. Someone obviously didn't want to put in the work. These clothes haven't been thoroughly searched.
Ты что-то еще не нашел?
Беру кнопки.
Ага. Походу, я что-то еще не нашел.
Прошу, дядя.
Ага. А тут вроде больше ничего нету. В мешке пусто. Чё я не нашел?
Ремень проверь.
Проверил уже.
Еще проверь. Пряжку проверь.
Там был белый порошок.
Ну-ка, штаны.
В пляжке как раз таки был белый порошок. Смотрим штаны.
Карман.
А, вот
And
еще.
here, another animal souvenir. It looks different than the previous one.
Еще
The
одну
only thing I can
штуку.
tell from the clothes is that before his death, Evans had either put up quite a fight, or the attackers simply dragged him along the ground for a long distance. In turn, and this is certainly strange, the injuries themselves were inflicted only when he was naked.
Все, больше на ремне ничего не нахожу. Тут тоже все вроде пусто. А, все.
Okay, I'll take a look at the scales. They seem too different. Dorothy once brought an animal encyclopedia here. She performed an autopsy on an exotic animal smuggler. The guy suffered an accident while transporting illegal animals. Not only were the police needed on site, but it took nearly a day to round up his cargo. Dorothy had a hard time with that case. Did the impact kill him? Or did one of the animals he was transporting do him in? They even talked about it on the news. People were terrified that some reptile would just come out of their can and grab him. Okay, the book.
А, в лабораторию, блин. Не туда пришел. Ага.
Who is this?
Весело. Труп без головы стучал в окно. Вот в это окошко стучал труп без головы.
Мужика вот там.
Ага.
All right. Which page was it?
Точно не зебра.
Local wildlife. I bet I'll find. Nope. It's a completely different color. Oh, that was quick. I wouldn't expect anything
Я же
else.
говорил, крокодил.
Not this area. I don't know why I'm even bothering to compare it. It's immediate. Nile. No way.
И еще один
Expect
крокодил.
Something local? I certainly don't remember hearing of an animal escaping from the zoo. So, either someone donned in crocodile products was around the deceased, or one of them attacked him. I'll examine the body and take photos. If an animal attacked him, there'll be traces. Ugh, Christ. Why am I so tired? Some coffee would be nice. What was I supposed to... the pictures. I'll have to show them to Dorothy. Too bad that we no longer keep our ranking. With something like that, I would come out on top. There hasn't been a case like this for a long, long time.
Труп пока на месте.
All right, I'll begin. The deceased's skin is smooth and taut. This suggests an advanced stage of decomposition of the corpse.
Это его так нехило тут погрызли.
Such a wound could not have occurred during the victim's lifetime. There are also clear traces of the deceased's ankles being bound in some way. It's unlikely that a human would make such a wound. Nasty.
А отсутствие головы фоткать не надо, да?
This wound appears to have been made by a sharp instrument.
Что он там вырезал?
Судя по чешуйкам, его сожрали два крокодила. Ищем следы дальше. Ух ты. На руках следы веревки.
Evans couldn't have tied himself up like that.
Связались
It looks like
с
some sort of attack or kidnapping.
Вот, вполне возможно. Ого, следы зубов.
No. And as expected,
Не знаю.
there's a bite.
Так, еще где-то два. А, вот отсутствие головы.
No head. That's not hard to miss.
Головы нет, сложно не заметить. Так, что-то еще осталось.
Interesting. This needs to be investigated further. I need to gather my thoughts together. And look at these photos. It seems that, I wonder whether the decapitation took place before or after death. To check. I have some the work of... I should inspect these areas with a magnifying glass first.
А, взять фото с доски.
This looks very promising. The bite is clearly visible. It should be easy to compare with the encyclopedia and identify the culprit. I just need to make it a little bigger. It'll be faster than physically measuring the bite. I hope I put it in right. I can never remember whether it was image up or image down. At university, I didn't have facility. Ah, fantastic. Practically a one-to-one. Just some tracing paper, a pencil, and I can check these in the encyclopedia. Now, did I leave them in a drawer? Or maybe a box somewhere? Ugh. I don't remember if I left them out somewhere. Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine.
То. То. Где еще может быть?
Oh, looks like I can tidy up after myself. Sometimes.
Хоть иногда, да?
Archives. Just as lifeless as the corpses they concern. A very, nature-driven case so far. I'll have to consult the encyclopedia again. Good thing Dorothy left it here. Otherwise, I would have had to run back to my place to get some.
Ну-ка, идем дальше.
I would be concerned if it was this crocodile that killed him. That makes sense. This would also be the holes found in the clothes. It turns out that some of the wounds can be safely blamed on local alligators. However, we cannot blame them for the decapitation. It's not these animals we should be afraid of here. I should make some notes and start the autopsy.
Угу. Ну давай, смотрим.
And look for other traces using a magnifying glass. It doesn't look good. Evans wasn't decapitated with one cut. It looks like the killer might have missed before they finally hit the neck.
Еще и мазила к тому же, да?
Several stab wounds of varying depth and circumference.
Зачем несколько-то?
Mississippi alligator. It's strange that an alligator would leave such a clear and smooth mark. The result of an animal tearing at its body, eaten skin, soft tissues, and genitals. There are even some teeth marks, but well, it doesn't look like an alligator. The bite is firmly incorporated into the wound. A photo alone won't help me here. I need to make a cast and compare it. Looks like an uneven bite. It's worth taking a closer look at this. Maybe there will be some remaining teeth marks. The imprints are quite deep and even. From the looks of it,
У него,
I'd say
походу,
Evans
еще и
was
член
restrained
отрезали.
with his own belt.
Ага. Отрезали причинный орган.
Evan's right side must have been more attractive to the crocs and insects. Very strong binding marks. You can see peeled epidermis and small wounds. There's no end to playing zoologist today.
Что там дальше у нас?
I need a tool with dental impression cement. Can I find it here? No. It's probably lying somewhere around in the lab. I hope the cement hasn't expired.
Так. Где она? Нету. Ау. Пистолет.
A month after the due date. That could be worse.
Только подумал, что в России у нас все так.
cover the bite area. Wait until it hardens. I think it's ready. The cast looks quite contaminated from the other wounds in that area. Well, let's hope the imprint turns out better. Brush, ink, and paper. Similar to taking fingerprints.
Под носу.
Paint over the area. And put a piece of paper on it. That's very strange.
Человеческие зубы, блин.
Facts and check it on the computer. I really don't want to believe what I'm seeing.
Это уже человеческие.
Ему кусать.
Ему кто-то хуй откусил.
Бедный дядька, что с ним произошло. И люди покусали, и аллигаторы.
Грузим.
What? Wow. This is, well, this is quite unexpected. Human teeth. Oh, fuck. I need to tell this to Stephen.
Ладно, давай это просмотрим. Не совпадают. Следующий. Вроде совпадают. Вообще не совпадают. О, идеалочно.
Loading. It'll probably take a while.
Ну, один совпадение. О, подходит.
Loading.
Подхаживает.
It'll probably take a while.
Кто же это?
Вот подбираем челюсть. Не подходит. Более-менее подходит. Вот.
Loading. It'll probably take a while. Finally.
Ага.
What? The partial impression I have may match several people. Okay, this one is in prison, so he's out. Another in prison. Oh, here's someone with quite interesting tendencies. Oh, he's dead. It doesn't fit. This one doesn't either. I'm afraid this will remain a mystery. The killer's profile is getting more and more interesting.
Этот сидит. Этот вышел. Этот умер. Этот тоже вышел. То бишь двое. Два вероятных убийцы.
Закинь.
Ага. Так, что у нас у тебя дальше, приятель?
Going back to the body. I need to make a note before I start the dissection.
Так,
They look
грудная
quite
клетка,
shallow. You can see that the
голова.
tool used was sharp and smooth. This wound turned out to be more troublesome. Torn tissue, lacerations, bite wounds. I need to verify how deep these wounds go. If they punctured the organs, hemorrhaging could have occurred. For obvious reasons, I record decapitation as the cause of death. Alligators rarely kill humans. The abdominal and genital area are supplied with plenty of blood. If the penis was bitten off while he was alive, Evans could have bled to death. The perfect breeding ground for larvae. Fortunately, the deceased doesn't care about it, just like we do now. Due to the body fat of the deceased. Time for internal analysis. Finally. First of all, I'll try to determine whether death occurred before the decapitation, or if it... With the scalpel, I'll open the deceased's chest. I cut deep, in a straight line, avoiding the navel. We see a lot of fat tissue under the skin.
Скрыл как рыбу, блин.
Ribs, I expect to see even more fat on the organs.
Ага. Так, кусачки, да?
Correct. High levels of internal fat, organ size above average due to obesity. I move on to the lung analysis. The deceased smoked cigarettes, but more importantly, and this is the culprit. Well, it didn't look like the holes were that deep. Such hemorrhage could have been caused by hitting the chest with a blunt object, or a puncture. Open pneumothorax should be added to this. The deceased could have experienced extreme hypoxia, and, as a result, obstructive shock. I wonder what the heart looks like then. The organ is enlarged with very clear light, but similarly to the lungs, there is a trace of puncture with a sharp object. In pneumothorax, the heart rate increases. In the event of such a wound, this would mean bleeding out faster and more. In turn, a sudden increase in the amount of fluid in the pericardial cavity could lead to cardiac tamponade, which is also a life-threatening condition. Evans, however, is remarkably clean, considering this turn of events.
Это я ран не вижу нифига. Ну ладно.
This all looks quite disturbing. I wonder if the organ is fatty and enlarged. The beginnings of cirrhosis are obvious. Well, that's it.
Жесткий у него цирроз печени, однако.
So, I proceed to carefully remove the stomach. Like most other organs, it is fatty and clearly enlarged, not to mention swollen, partially due to gases, but mainly due to the deceased's lifestyle. I take the organ to the cutting board. If the outside is intact, I'm going to check the contents.
Поехали. Резать желудок.
It sounds like there's an unusually large amount of undigested,
У меня коврика не
and
хватает.
now rotten stomach
Нормально
contents
везде.
inside.
За один раз все. Эй!
Blood. Evans had to swallow it due to his injuries, which means he was still alive when he was brutally wounded in the chest.
Ага. правда, очень жирный.
Only the trachea left to be examined. Surprisingly, it's not damaged by the decapitation. I move on to cutting it open.
Ну, пойдем резать.
Okay. I carefully cut, and... blood. Just as I expected. Evans not only swallowed it, but also choked on it. Looks like I can wrap this up. Let me tie this together. After he was abducted, stripped, and tied up, he was dealt several penetrating blows to the chest. Then his head was cut off. Evans was deprived of his genitals, and the body served as an easy meal for the animals. Even though there are a lot of injuries on the body that could cause death, it was the decapitation that ended Evan's life. The animal bites on the limbs occurred after death, so there's no reason to treat these as the cause of death. The damage to the lungs and heart must have led to severe hemorrhaging, so there's no doubt that Evans was choking in bloody convulsions. But it didn't last too long, which I conclude from the small amount of blood in the stomach and trachea. I never thought I'd ever wish someone to have a heart attack, but in this case, it would have been better for him. In some way, it can be said with certainty that James Evans was murdered.
Попало.
Ah well, I need to stitch this poor guy back up.
Теперь зашиваем, да?
It's really bothering me.
Складываем рыбку обратно.
Something's not right here. Because even now, the organs are relatively clean. The skin around wounds also, it's like someone pumped it out. Christ, I don't know. I'll leave these questions for the police to solve. Now, I get to head home. It's a fucked up thing. I'll hold off taking long walks in the forest for the near future. I have a feeling that it won't end with just one body.
А, сердце.
Good night, Mr. Ridley. The body is ready to be picked up.
Sure. Good night.
I think it's the first time in a long time that I finished work at a decent hour. Oh, come on. Fuck! When did I get a flat tire? What the fuck? Fuck. I'm going to Ridley's. Maybe he saw something.
Зашибись. Да?
Ridley, do you know what happened to my car?
What happened to your car?
All the tires are fucking flat!
Well, it happens. Don't you have a spare in the trunk?
Spare ones in the trunk. No one carries 4 fucking extra tires. In the trunk!
Jesus, Handman, calm down. I'll call you a taxi.
Calm down? That's a bit of an exaggeration, don't you think? Have you seen anyone around here? Someone strange? Suspicious?
Except you? No.
Haha, funny. I don't find all these jokes amusing, you know.
What jokes? Handman, what's wrong with you? It's just tires.
Such things are not a coincidence. What's wrong with me? Things keep happening. Last week, and now this?
Just go wait for the taxi, okay?
Да ё-моё.
Do you good. Neither you nor I will do anything about it now.
Neither you nor I will do anything? What have you been doing all day? Surely something like this can't just be overlooked.
Maybe you should go outside and cool down. I'm calling a taxi.
Cool town.
Красный пит. Ага.
I just want to sleep.
Лечь и заснуть навсегда? Ага.
It would be easier just to move in and live here. I doubt I'll get reimbursed for the cab.
Еще бытие.
Huh?
Что за... А?
Damn. It's already late in the evening. Good evening. Any news for me? About my car? You know, the flat tires?
No.
No, what? Have you checked the cameras? Anything?
Handman, I cut my teeth working in prison. I know what to do.
But
There were no strangers hanging around. Maybe you ran over something.
what?
Ага.
All the tires?
Why, possibly. You can congratulate yourself.
Christ.
You should try sleeping more. You've been kind of out of it lately.
That's the first bit of sense you've made all evening.
Good. The body is expected to be ready for pickup tonight, along with your lecture.
What? What? No, what?
You still pontificating? Best hurry, don't you think?
Fuck me. I don't have the strength for this today. Have I taken my pills today? Did I take it? Or... I need to focus. Fuck. I don't have much time.
У меня такое чувство, что он скоро будет состоять из одних пилюль.
One by one, Jack.
Кто опять окно не закрыл? Ночь на дворе. Чего? 3, 6, 4, 9. Это что за код такой? Тут вроде закрыто.
Oh,
Ого,
a burning issue indeed.
погорелец.
Move on to the
А,
body.
самое
Shit. The lecture.
вкусное.
I almost forgot. I'm gonna need the camcorder.
А, да, камеру забыл.
This is making me nervous.
Так, отдай камеру. Я ж тебя вроде закрывал. Его еще и связали. Веревка на шее. Ноги связаны. Точно убийство. Определенно.
Oh well. This is not the best framing. Hello, everyone. It's the 20 something of November 1991. Jack Hanlon is conducting the autopsy. Oh, I appear to be missing my gloves and apron. Yes, you already know the drill. So, the body is on the slab. Let's see what the police uncovered first. So, the victim is from... The exact cause of the fire has not yet been determined. However, the body was not found until the next morning. The tenant was naked, charred, and with severe burns. The owner of the apartment asked about the deceased. He was surprised anyone even lived there. The deceased was sitting in an armchair near the TV. Pieces of pornographic material, an ashtray, melted video cassettes, and several bottles of so-called poppers were found in the vicinity. It's difficult to assess whether any escape attempts were made. Firefighters indicated that it was probably the large quantity of poppers found near the deceased. and rapid spread of the fire. Well, that's our basic question. Whether the death occurred as a result of fire, or whether he was dead before it.
Посмотрели.
As you can see, the body is in quite an unusual pose. For the purpose of photographic documentation, we'll leave it like that for now.
Ящик закрой, блин. Самый лучший ракурс для тебя. Уголек ты наш.
This position is called the pugilistic attitude. This is due to the influence of high temperature on the muscles. The fire reaches the skin first, then the soft tissue, until the skeletal muscles are exposed. Coagulation occurs in exposed muscles due to their fibers shrinking. The extensors yield to the force of the flexors.
Бывает, что от пожара, когда мышцы сильно нагреваются,
The muscles
ломают
contract
кости.
and contract until the limbs become flexy and deformed. The upper ones are characterized by a triple bend, similar to a boxer holding his hands in front of him.
Голова.
Just 10 minutes will do it. 10 minutes for the muscles and tendons to contract, like a steak on the grill. In the end, we're all just walking meat. The deceased must now be straightened out, and we need to get rid of these bindings.
Ага.
He looks to have been tied up in a rather unusual way. The deceased's neck and feet were most likely, which explains why, despite the severe burns, the deceased's limbs are not all that twisted. That's better. It's easier to straighten him now. Without taking out the magnifying glass, we already know that the deceased's skin is heavily charred and cracked. As for the other details, there are crow's feet visible near the eyes. Upper lip reveals front teeth. One of the incisors is broken. There's soot in the nostrils.
То бишь он был еще жив, когда все начало гореть.
The rope around the neck wasn't very tight. I don't see it leaving a mark on the skin. You can clearly see that this is primarily the front of the deceased that was exposed to fire. The rope marks around the wrists are deep, clearly visible. The victim sat in the chair the whole time, hence his back being in much better condition than this extremely burned area. Looks as if a large flap of skin had detached from the calf. The rope at the man's ankles was tied much tighter and more precisely than the one around his wrists. All in all, quite a lot can be deduced from this external examination.
Так.
Severe
Correct.
burns, covering. He appears to be loosely tied. Predominance of fourth and third. The length of the rope was. The burns reached through the dermis and hypoderm. Traces failed to indicate that the deceased suffocated before the fire took hold. Oh, that must have been terrifying.
Только 6, где еще 3?
The eye clenching is a natural reaction of the body to high temperatures. The tissue of the mouth was heavily burned as well. The teeth, however, makes me wonder. Soot in the nose appears when inhaling harmful and choking smoke. The conclusions are quite clear. The extent of the thermal stresses on the body could have caused this death. Wounds on the wrists and ankles indicate that the burns to the genitals and groin are an additional concussive factor. This is the mixture of fear, sexual arousal, and drugs could have caused a heart attack. In this case, I don't assume that this was a delayed death. It looks like the deceased was a fan of choking while masturbating. Deaths due to a predilection for asphyxophilia do occur, but not in this case. It may seem incidental, but for us it's a sign that the deceased was most certainly conscious. Perhaps the deceased lost a tooth, attempting to bite through the rope. We need to check the damage inhaling all that smoke has done to the respiratory tract. Due to the amount of charring, we are unable to collect the victim's fingerprints. Visual identification is also out of the question.
Остаются только зубы.
Guess what options we are left with. You guessed it, a dental impression. For this, I need impression trays and alkanate material. Please excuse me for a moment. What I need should be somewhere in the lab. Okay, it's going well. I should be able to get this done in time. Where are these? Maybe in this drawer. Oh, I'll warm this up in my hands. Okay, making an impression is quite simple. You put trays with alkanate into the mouth and press them together in one. Once the device. Okay, again, we will need a piece of paper, a brush, and ink. We will make a plaster model of the deceased's teeth from the obtained impression. We will then make an impression of the mold on a piece of paper, which will be scanned into the computer. You see, it seems so simple and yet laborious. On the plus side, we don't have to worry about the gag reflex with the deceased. And no need to remind the subject to breathe either. At least he saved the high cost of orthodontic treatment.
Сканируем. Сразу в компьютер через. Отлично. Снова ищем зубы.
Wow. Who would have expected a match so soon? Well, the deceased is Richard Jacobson, 47 years old. He had a criminal record and was recently in court for... Oh, wow. For not returning a video to the rental shop. Oh, Jesus. I better check if I've still got that copy of... where were we? Okay. I'll add some details. I wasn't sure, but the World Wide Web has been I wasn't sure it would amount to anything, but the World Wide Web has been a blessing for speeding up my work. I wasn't sure it would amount to anything, but the World Wide Web has been a blessing for speeding up my work. Okay, and we can move on to dissecting the body. This time, I'll go straight for the loppers.
Реберные
I'll
кусочки.
slice it piece by piece. Let me start here. I push hard several times. Until I cut a given section.
Проморгал момент.
You can see that using a scalpel would be pointless here.
Скальпель бы тут точно не помог.
Solid crunch. Almost there.
Не попал. Ать.
Now we peel back the skin.
Кусачками вскрываю.
Как еще тут?
Погорелец.
А?
Погорелец.
Ну, как его
Now
рыбки.
to remove the ribs.
Кусачками его вскрываю.
And we can check out what's going on in here. And I see that a lot has happened. In fact, the entire abdominal cavity is flooded. Blood and other fluids have seeped from the blood vessels, flooding the abdomen and chest areas. We have to get rid of this. I'll go get a
Ну,
cup
пошлем за
or-
половником.
I think I saw one somewhere here.
Где-то там должен быть, походу. С этой стороны. И тут? Тут? А вот он.
Aha. I don't have all night. I'm going to need a vacuum pump. Great. Running around for everything starts again. Why can't things be tidied away properly in this damn mortuary? I'm gonna get Ridley. I wonder what this pump is. Probably in the basement.
По-любому в подвале.
Mr. Ridley? Mr. Ridley? I'll just go to the basement and check.
Чего не удивлен? Кто это был там в окне? Еще и в моем кабинете. Потому что это точно был не я.
Jeez. I don't know what this was for. Rusty scrap.
Открывается она, конечно, как ракета.
Where is this infernal machine? Wow, that's heavy. Can I fit through the door with this?
Пойдем обратно.
I swear I'm going to have an accident here one day. Like Alice, when she twisted her ankle on those stairs. We were supposed to go to the mountains then. It was supposed to be our first trip since... And Alice...
Handman.
Because of me, as always, she had to...
Handman, are you talking to yourself or what?
Да.
What? No, I just...
There is a letter for you. I left it on your desk.
Letter? For me?
Yes, letter for you. Do I have to repeat myself again?
No. Thank you. Where were you? I was looking for you earlier.
Hand, I was retrieving your letter.
Jesus, Ridley. Could you talk to me like a human being from time to time?
I'm just answering the question.
Right. Oh, by the way, the basement hatch is wide open. Maybe you could look into it?
Maybe.
A letter. Fuck! Who delivers letters at this time? It's probably been sat in his office for ages. Just didn't want to move his lazy ass.
Вполне возможно.
So, we have the equipment. Now I have to place it somewhere close to the table. Phew. I can finally put this thing down. Alright, just... What? There's no tube? No one's used this for a long time. I apologize to you all once again.
Заодно письмо посмотрю. Помада? Откуда? И где письмо? Хрен старый.
Aha. 3649. Okay. 3649. 3649. 3749. 3794.
Нет письма в моем кабинете. Старый.
These lockers could contain everything. Ah, screw it. There might be something in here. Yep. I'm sure I wrote the code down on a piece of paper. And my memory for numbers. What do we have here? Boxes of disinfectants, syringes, thread. Oh, some small trinkets. Maybe I'll take it to the office. Antiseptics. Oh, that's interesting. But here. I wanted to forget. I regret so much. Every day. Every fucking day. I can't.
Oh.
I can't take it anymore. Oh, God.
О, я твою мать. Истеричка чертова.
I can't. How do I...
А трубку сразу взять было слабо.
Do not think. Just don't think. They definitely pay me too little for... Office of the Medical Examiner, Peatsville.
Oh, Jack. I was hoping to catch you at work.
Hi, Dorothy. How's it going?
Good, thanks. And what about you? You sound tired.
Tiring day at work. That's it.
You scared me last time we spoke.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to cause any trouble.
Mm.
And say what I said.
Jack, it's alright. You're not causing any trouble. I'm not surprised at all that.
No, really. I mean it. Sorry. I just... I'm fed up with myself.
You should take care of yourself. Didn't you say you wanted to stay at home longer? To rest? You know I pick up the slack at work.
No, I didn't. I can't. I don't want to be there.
Well, why not consider taking a trip, Jack?
Dorothy, please. I really don't have the energy for this today.
I just wish.
Stop it. Why are you calling?
Reminder about annual drug testing. I figured you probably didn't remember.
Oh, yes. I've, had a lot going on. I, even forgot my own birthday.
Leave your samples at reception on your way home. Someone will pick them up from Ridley in the morning. Probably Steven or someone else at the station.
Sure. I'll try not to forget. Okay, well,
Jack? Try not to do anything stupid, okay? Alcohol, your medication. You know you shouldn't.
I have it all under control. I should be getting back to work.
The results should be in tomorrow. I'll call you when we know.
Right. Thanks.
Goodbye, Jack.
Bye. Annual drug testing. I'll take care of it before I go home. I feel terribly weak. Wake up, Jack. Jesus. I need my pills. There's been a bit too much going on lately.
У нас и правда даже на вокзале толчки получше выглядят. А вот и шланг.
Focus on your work, Jack.
Закрываем дверь.
All right. Here I am. I hope that was the last long break in this session.
Так, ставим трубку.
So, let's connect the tube.
Жик.
We turn on the machine. With this amount of fluid, there's no point in holding back.
Я ж поставил. Хе-хе-хе.
Что там, спиртик отхлебнул?
Его.
А, жир отсасываешь.
Ага. Да, я говорю. Что не все отсосал, да?
External examinations did not reveal any tissue defects that would reach the internal organs. Still a few nooks and crannies left.
И там еще что осталось?
So, I expect the organs to be intact. In a way, it's quite extraordinary.
Так, ты еще чуть не откачала.
That even with such severe burns, skin, fat, muscles, the organs are all present and correct. A reddish pink tint
Наконец-то
indicates high
откачали, да?
carboxyhemoglobin levels, the level of which I will determine from a sample of blood. I will be inserting needles into the heart and what interests me here is not the presence of this substance itself, but rather its percentage content in the But first, I'll need the values for the centrifuge.
А слабо сразу эту книжку с собой взять, а? Каждый раз за ней бегать
I
приходится.
feel like I've been here forever.
Какой-то он взял.
Jack, focus.
Хотя, в
Just a
принципе,
little
это
bit longer.
специально сделано, чтобы я бегал туда-сюда.
Corpses recovered from the site of fire may have very different and complex histories.
Так. Карбоксигемоглобина. Ё-моё.
Burning is only at the surface. Underneath, it may be a heart attack, stroke, or pulmonary embolism. This particular case appears quite basic.
Так. А, вот он. 10 минут. Скорость 85%. К 85. Блин, сколько минут? 10.
However, I would warn against making a diagnosis too hastily. A fire victim does not always mean death due to smoke inhalation. The centrifuge has completed its cycle. So, as usual, I will take the samples to the laboratory, and I'll be back with the results shortly.
Пойдем.
Ugh. What exactly was I supposed to test for? COHB. Ugh.
Два
I'll take
миллилитра, да?
2 milliliters of huge sample.
Все, конечно, муторно. Так, все взяли. Что у нас тут?
Well, confirmed. Death due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Carboxyhemoglobin levels at 84%. Alright, I'll note this down and perform a check of the organs.
Где труп?
Where? Mr. Ridley?
Кто труп спиздил? Признавайтесь. Камера работает. Так что все записано.
Why did he take that fucking body? Why did you take the body?
What body?
Well, the body. You know, from the autopsy room?
Right, Hammond. I didn't take any of your bodies.
So who took it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I...
Get back to work. It's late.
В гробовскую меня не пускают.
Something strange is happening here.
Только заметил.
What's wrong with me? Maybe I think I'm just tired. I don't understand what's going on.
Ну, в лабораторию, скорее всего, точно нет. Потому что я там был. О, на месте.
I think there's... I must have been seeing things. Results. Well, then we can now be sure that the carboxyhemoglobin concentration was fatal. I think I should inspect the heart. The organ has a reddish pink tint, which results from the concentration of COHB and general congestion of the organ. Other than that, I can cross this off my list now. We will look at the lungs more carefully. From the outside, just like the heart, it is congested, and the color indicates poisoning. Thermal damage is visible here and there. Enough of the external exam. It's time to grab the knife and dissect the lungs. I need to check for any obstruction, burns, or clots.
Короче говоря, странности только-только начинаются, да?
Jesus. All right. You can see changes in the
Как
lung
кусок мяса.
parenchyma caused by burns and smoke inhalation. Nothing new here.
Идем дальше.
So let's complete the notes. And let's check the trachea.
Так.
The color is the same as the rest of the organs. Significant congestion. Let's see what it looks like inside.
Ну да, естественно, еще вино препарировать.
Okay, the final visible burns inside, but what catches the eye the most is the amount of soot. Looks like our subject was in the thick of the fire. Let's deal with the final notes, and we're ready to go. Let's deal with the final notes, and we're ready to go. I considered the direct cause of death to be severe carbon monoxide poisoning, leading to extreme hypoxia of the body. The extreme burns on the deceased's body and respiratory tract indicate that he must have been surrounded by fire. During the examination, no other factors were found that could have contributed to the victim's death. Environmental data does not indicate any third-party involvement. Just need to add my John Hancock and sew up the body.
Печать, как обычно, как попало.
I'll close the body, trying not to damage what's left of the skin.
Зашить
For
жирно.
stitching, well, it varies. It could be that the fire victims are in such a condition, so for this job, a thicker needle and heavy-duty thread. Well,
Все,
everything's
зашили.
holding together. Keeping it together is invaluable in that, well, after storing the body, there's nothing left for me to do. But thank you for your attention. All the best, and good night. Ugh, my God. What an exhausting day. I need to get these gloves off and call a taxi. I swear I'm about to pass out from exhaustion. I wasn't sure it would amount to anything, but the World Wide Web has been a blessing for speeding up my work. It's been a while since the eye wash in this thing was changed. It's probably a health hazard now.
Как я тебе сниму перчатки?
Oh fuck, you're in sample. Oh no. Okay, this is it.
Анализы, анализы.
I'm dehydrated. I should drink more water.
Такси не вызывается, да? Ну ладно. О, нифига, его видно. Обычно все за газетой сидит.
As expected, sleeping like a log. I'm jealous.
А, такси еще вызвать надо. Как я забыл. Сделай бы динг-донг ему. Во, здорово.
Fuck. What's going on here?
Приятель, ты куда смотался? Есть виски, давай выпьем. Приятель, ты где? Иди сюда. Ну, не хочешь, как хочешь.
Hurricane Taxi, we will take you wherever the wind takes you.
Hello. I would, like to order a taxi to 574 Presley Street.
Okay, hun. All of our drivers are busy at the moment. Best I can do is within the next hour.
An hour? Oh, no. Alright. Let it be.
Can I take your name?
Jack Hanman.
Okay, thank you. Do you have our loyalty card?
Oh.
Would you like to set one up? For regular customers, we have discounts and extra...
Would that make the taxi get here faster?
Well...
I thought so. Thank you. Goodbye. This is already giving me a headache. Oh, Jesus, what now? Yes, how can I help you?
Jack. Jack.
А,
Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you do that?
Oh my god! What was that? What the fuck? Fuck.
а,
This was some kind of mistake. An hour here. I need a drink.
давай выпьем.
Oh, strong. Everything's spinning.
Лечь на диван. А, вот диванчик. В перчаточках своих. Угу. Ну, клише. Клише. Помоги мне. Сейчас со спины что-нибудь прыгнет. Ага. А нет. Прикольно. А. Мы говорили, страшно, страшно. А, кошмар ему приснился.
Is this...
Что, патонатом работает, что ли?
Ну, река кровищи вытекла из холодильника. Прямо на него.
Fucking shits. They went too far this time. What's
А
that?
почему в кровище?
What's that? Is that blood? Oh God, what's happened? Oh, Mr. Ridley? Oh fuck. Can't you hear all this commotion?
Там еще труп привезли, да?
Are you deaf?
Sure, whatever you say, Henry.
Why is that even funny? Do I need to bring you the evidence?
Sure, if you have some. Me? I think
А,
you
блин,
should
опять
look
вылетел.
yourself.
Go
Собака.
and see for yourself. I'm going home. The taxi is probably waiting.
Ладно, я,
The
наверное,
one that
сейчас
left
закончу.
yesterday.
Yesterday? How so?
It's evening. Friday, November 29th, Hanman.
29th of November.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that this was...
Don't worry. I did too. Somehow. I just...
А, нет,
my
работают.
God.
Should I call Dorothy?
Вроде бы.
I've set up the cadaver ready for the autopsy. She should be able to replace you.
No. There's no need. I'd be happier staying here than sitting at home alone.
Just in case, this is... Let me know.
Sure. Thanks.
Hanman, I'm very sorry.
Мгм.
Yeah. Me too.
Так. Я, наверное, закончу, а то у меня тут что-то трансляция вылетает постоянно. Я вот не знаю, буду я в нее еще играть или нет. Но если что, пишите, я продолжу. Вроде прикольная игрушка. А пока на сегодня я заканчиваю. До следующей встречи.